What is up, guys? Welcome to Alice and Anna. My name is Anna, and today I'm going to be talking about what to expect when you go to UAL. So I made a list of things that I've experienced and my friends have experienced and we've all experienced together. Disclaimer, UAL is a really good university. I love it. That's where I actually study at. We've been there for 2 years now, so we kind of do have a little bit of experience, especially as international students who've been like casted out by everybody. We have a very clear idea of who UAL is and all of that. There are a lot of problems with uni, so I figured I would make a video just in case you're wondering and you want to go or whatever. Now you will know. The biggest thing that has been an issue is tuition. We're international students. I'm like half international student, half EU student, but I don't get like half tuition. I get full international tuition. So that means I pay 20k a year instead of, I think it's 10k a year, or a little bit less. In UAL, you cannot pay in installments, so you have to pay at the beginning of the year the big chunk load of money. And to be honest, like why it's such a big difference between EU students and international students is usually they justify it as the fact that they are sponsoring your visa. However, UAL does absolutely nothing except check your attendance record. If you don't attend 80% of your classes, then you can get deported. But other than that, they don't do anything for you. They don't pay for your visa. You have to pay to issue your visa. I don't know, if you have issues with, like, let's say the police, you have to deal with them on your own. UAL doesn't do anything. So I don't understand why the difference is so big. And as I said before, you cannot pay in installments, which is the most ridiculous thing ever, because they could just deactivate your card and you just couldn't go to classes or you couldn't use the facilities, but they don't allow it. So that's been hard. On the tuition point, during the pandemic, they also increased by 3% the tuition for international students, and it's been so annoying because the entire world has gone into a recession, and people like me, for example, that come from developing countries, it's already been hard before a pandemic to pay. It's now harder because it's up to 3%. So that's been a pain. With that said, scholarships are null for international students. There's like very little scholarships at UAL. And if they do have them, they're mostly for EU and home students. They have zero. At least at LCC, they have zero. If you're an EU student, you might have a better shot, but I think they don't have for media. I think most of the scholarships goes straight to London Fashion School and to CSM. So not only are EU and home students paying half of the price, but they also get loans by the government and they get scholarship. Now there's another part that you can get help throughout the hardship fund. Now the hardship fund was only open to EU students and home students, but the pandemic hit, so they were like, oh, we'll just open it for international students. However, the help is stopped at 2k, and that for international students is nothing, especially because EU students don't have to pay for such long and expensive flights. They don't have to pay for their issuing a visa or all those little things. So that's been quite annoying, I'm not gonna lie, but they opened it for international students during the pandemic. So I mean, that's already like, okay, fair enough, you're trying to help. My next point with UAL that's been quite annoying is the administration. They're not very nice. Student services does absolutely nothing. You always email student services and they redirect you to everyone, but they can never tell you anything themselves. They can never give you a straight answer. It's never with them. So you always have to find out and go ask, and it's just a bunch of jumble mumbo that you're gonna have to go through in a lot of hoops. So that's super annoying. I've emailed them so many times. Alice has also talked to them and they're also a mess. I think Sergio has talked to them as well. Like everybody that I know at UAL hates student services. So that's one of my big points because they're supposed to be there to help you. Other people that are there supposedly to help you are the visa officers, and they're the worst according to Alice. She has been through so many visas. Like she has studied in Canterbury before and in Canada, and she says that these are the worst visa officers ever. And to be honest, I thank God don't have to go through that. But if they're any bit like student services, I believe it. The next thing on my list is mental health support. They're always talking about it. They're very, like when I first got there, I was like, well, yeah, this is an art school because they're always talking about mental health. How like advanced. Yeah, if you're gonna go to a mental health appointment, just as student services, they make you go through so many hoops, and to be honest, it's very discouraging. You have to talk to various advisors. You kind of get assigned, and then you get diagnosed, and then you just keep going with your mental health advisor. It's kind of like you talk to this person, and then you talk to that person, and then this person diagnoses you, so then they send you to another person. And it's a lot of talking and going through hoops and just being very vulnerable in front of so many people. So at the end of the day, you end up just not wanting to go there and not wanting to be there at all. They do not go through with what they're advertising or what they're saying. Sadly, another thing that I do have to say is that in my 2 years at LCC, I had to report sexual assault along 4 other women, and let me tell you, that wasn't enough. Apparently evidence and witnesses wasn't enough, and they offered the guy in question to come back next year with a year below us. So basically redo first year. They did not deal with it quickly as they promised us when we reported it. I had to pressure them all the time just to try to get some answers. This guy knew where we lived, he knew our names, he knew everything about us, and the school did zero to protect us. They kind of just told him like, yeah, you're suspended, somebody reported you, we're gonna investigate your case, and let him roam free on campus. Did not do anything to like either let us know or absolutely anything until the next day, but we already knew because a lot of things. Anyways, so I emailed them the first time after like 3 weeks of not hearing anything, and it turns out that the person in charge of our case was actually no longer at uni, and nobody had been assigned to our case. So that's the type of administration that they have, which has been very frustrating, very slow, and they just make you not want to talk to anybody in administration at all. It's so annoying, and sometimes you need the help. Sometimes you need to talk to these people and need the help. So it's so annoying that you can't get it even when you're asking for it, and even when you're going the extra mile to get the help. Actually, let me make a little pause. There's an account called UAL Truth, and it's basically an expose of all the teachers, all the administrations, and all of that. And right now it has also been focusing a lot on racial profiling and racism, because there's a lot at UAL. You know, they try to be very advanced and very like open and on trend or whatever, trying to be modern and inclusive, but they're not really. They have a lot of issues. I wouldn't say there's a lot of racism between peers. I would just say it's more with like the administration and tutors. I had to do a foundation year because I was an international student. Now, let me tell you, I learned null in my foundation year. It was very like inspiring and whatever, but I ended up having the same amount of knowledge before and after. So that meant that I was prepared to go into a BA right off the bat, but I just wasn't allowed to, because you have to do a foundation year if you're an international student. Some home and EU students do it just to because they haven't decided what they want to study or whatever, but as an international student, you have to do it. Here's the thing though, Alice applied to other unis. She did not have to do a foundation year. It was only at UAL, but my portfolio was absolutely the same at the beginning and at the end of foundation. And it was such a waste of my time because I had to take English classes, even though I had a C1 level of IELTS, which the maximum is C2. So like I was like right there. But you know, it's a hoop we have to go through to go into BA. And then the last thing, the last point that I have on the negative side is that they do not have in mind people with jobs. They do not care if you have a job. They will not bend for you. I have worked 2 jobs since the beginning, since foundation and during my first year of uni, and I probably plan on continue doing so, because just because living in London is very expensive, and I have to pay for my expenses. Film and TV course is very unorganized, and when I say very unorganized is that, for example, you will be split into a group. So our timetable shows every Monday there's a class for everybody. Great, check. And then on Tuesdays, it will be group A, group B, group C. You're like, I don't know, okay, cool. And then on Wednesdays, the class for everybody. And then on Thursdays is group D, E, and F. They're all 3 different schedules. And you're like, okay, well, I'll guess I'll figure it out. And then on Friday, you have another class for everybody. That's perfect. But then the next week, the groups are inverted. So you never have like, oh, I always have Tuesdays free to tell your job. You can never know. It's a mess. And then sometimes you have class at 3 and sometimes you have class at 10. And it always changes. You never know. And whenever you ask them like, hey, what group am I gonna be in? You're gonna know until probably the second day of uni. You're not gonna know before that because they randomly select it. That's it. That's the way things are. And they also try to spread out classes throughout the entire week. And sometimes the class is 2 hours long, but they will be like, 2 hours here, 2 hours there, 2 hours there. So now there you have no day free. I have to skip a lot of uni sometimes, which has been kind of bad. I mean, I always get away with it because I do catch up on my own time, but that is exhausting and it could have been avoided if they just had a little bit more of organization. Now on the positive side, I do love our course leaders and our teachers. I think they're great. I mean, I haven't had a bad experience so far. It doesn't mean that my experience is universal, but me and my friend group love our tutors. They're really, really professional. They actually, most of them work outside of uni and they have like a career in their field as well as being a teacher, so they're really on it and it's incredible. I find that very useful because they're up to date. They're not like 20 years ago when I used to work. They're like, right now they don't do things like that. Right now they do things like this. And then when you pitch a project or whatever, they always have amazing advice and it's very clear, so you know where to go and how to expand and how to like make your project better. So that's always a good note. The building that I go to is LCC and it's pretty old, but they're gonna build a new one right now. But every facility is amazing. You have access to everything. If you wanna, like, I am a film and TV student, but if I wanna go screen print, I can go and do that for free. If I wanna go and develop film photos, I can do that for free. So you have the photo studio, you have 3D printers, you have lino printing, so many things. You just have absolutely everything on the tip of your fingers, so you can just go around and be super creative and play around. And I would have to say that the library hours have a lot to be desired of, but the library is also great. They have a great selection, and if you want a book, you can go ask for them and they will order it in for you. And they also, at LCC, they have the Stanley Kubrick collection, which is incredible. It's beautiful and it's under appointment, and you can get it if you're a UAL student. Doesn't mean you have to go to LCC. They have great teams and student clubs, so you can go, you know, there's any sport that you want. So there is opportunity for you to do more, get active and socialize more. I don't use that very often just because I have to work and it's just a lot of commitment. But there is definitely a lot of options, and you can go to a gym at LSE and stuff like that. It's good on that aspect as well. But that is organized by students, and you have to remember that, because I am complaining about administration, not about students or teachers. Although some teachers could be complained about, and if you go to UAL Truth, you will see which ones. I've met my favorite people and my best friends at UAL. I do not regret enrolling there, and I want to continue studying there. I am continuing studying there. So, I mean, I would definitely go there again, but I think it's pretty important for you to know what you're getting yourself into. They do have great things. The problem is the administration, I would say. They're unorganized and they do not care about you at all. If you're planning on applying to UAL, I'm hoping this video was a little bit helpful, because that way you can know a little bit of what to expect. And hopefully your experience isn't bad. Hopefully your experience is amazing. But, you know, if you have a different experience from mine or Alice's or any of us or anything that I just told you, please comment it down below. I would love to hear all the different things from UAL. And that is it for today's video. So thank you so much for watching. We upload every Monday and Thursday, so check those videos out. Click that subscribe button and we will see you soon. Goodbye.